Hi guys, my name is Dima. I'm an English tutor. In this video I want to, let's say, make you acquainted with certain types of tasks at Pearson English Test. Just a couple of words of introduction. I'm going to shoot several videos about the overall structure of this Pearson English Test. Yeah, but just a couple of words. If you don't know anything about it, I will tell you that it's quite a popular one. This Pearson English Test. Maybe it's not so popular as IELTS or TOEFL. However, you see, lately it's possible to pass this test online, and you know that due to coronavirus and all that stuff, everything that is possible to pass online, it is gaining popularity. Pearson English the test lasts for about 2 hours. It costs about from 150 to 250 or a little bit more dollars, depending upon the country or purpose. Usually it is passed for educational purposes or for immigration purposes. And you see, the good news is that mostly Pearson test is accepted at test centers, but as I have told you, you can also pass it online from home, which is very convenient. The only aspect is that usually this online test, the results are not valid for immigration purposes. For educational, very good. A lot of universities and colleges accept it, but for immigration, no. But I suppose and I feel that most of you are watching this video in order to go to study abroad. And so for these purposes, you can take Pearson online. So Pearson test is very interesting in terms of the number of various tasks on this test. If we take IELTS, you know that we have 4 sections. Very simple. And TOEFL also. Reading, listening, speaking, writing. Yes, and writing, for instance, includes 2 essays. However, there is no basic difference. However, Pearson test has 20 tasks, types. It's very interesting, and at the same time, it can be a bit challenging for you. What else? About the level of difficulty, rumor has it that Pearson test is very simple. I think that it's not so simple as some people think. Everything depends on your desired result. So in this practical video, let us try now the first out of those 20 sections. Let's call them tasks or sections. No, better tasks, because it has 3 basic sections. Pearson has 3 sections: speaking and writing, then reading, and then listening. So this, which we are looking at right now, this task called Read Aloud, belongs to speaking and writing section. So Read Aloud speaks for itself. You see a short text and you have to read it beautifully and nicely into the microphone within 40 seconds. In this video, I will just show you a couple of real tasks recorded by some, let's call them enthusiasts at the Pearson test. So you are now looking at a real task that people saw a couple of months ago, something at Pearson test. Pearson test, as far as I get it, is not an adaptive test, as Duolingo is. You see, so the system will not give you firstly very simple task and then it will assess your level of ability and then it will accommodate itself. No, there are several levels of difficulty, but they, as I understand, follow one another. So you will just get several correct answers. So the more correct answers you give, the more points you have, like in IELTS or TOEFL. It's not an adaptive test. If you know more, then please write it in the comments. Maybe I'm mistaken. Okay, guys, so for instance, let's imagine that you have sat down to your test at home or in the test center, this first section and this first task, read aloud. So you're looking at this, you have 40 seconds. Let's click retry on this resource. Retry, and you will see the timer. I'm clicking retry. See, we are having now 40 seconds. Yeah, when I click record, this will be recorded. So the strategy, yes, we have 2 basic, I think, strategies here. The first one is to read it at once. I read little by little, trying to sound natural, American-like, yeah. On the other hand, probably for those of you who have a very high level of English, it's a good idea to have a quick glance, like a cursor glance at this text for, let's say, 10 seconds, yeah? But then there is a risk that you will spend some seconds, and afterwards, if you stumble somewhere, you may not read it to the end, you see? So you decide for yourself. I think when you look at these several like videos or other lessons, you will understand what is your preferred strategy. Okay, so now let's just read this abstract to assess the level of English here. Okay, I click retry and let us read like together. I am reading aloud, but you follow me or try to read like to yourself prior to my reading. While blue is one of the most popular colors, it is one of the least appetizing. Food researchers say that when humans searched for food, they learned to avoid toxic or spoiled objects, which were often blue, black, or purple. When food dyed blue is served to study subjects, they lose appetite. You see, I have done it within, let's say, 22-23 seconds. So probably, you see, I had 10 or 15 seconds to have a look. But how to have a look? If you have a look silently, word after word, you will maybe not do it within 10 or 12 seconds, yeah? So then you have a risk of not fitting into the time frame. Okay, let's take the next one. Carbon emissions. Okay, carbon emissions. Let's click retry and read it leisurely, and then we will see how much time we left for our supposed preliminary reading, not allowed. When countries assess their annual carbon emissions, they count up their cars and power stations. But bushfires are not included, presumably because they are deemed to be events beyond human control. In Australia, Victoria alone sees several 100,000 hectares burn each year. In both 2004 and more recently, the figure has been over 1 million hectares. Again, you see, I have read it within 23-24 seconds. I was reading it at a medium pace, yeah? And by the way, I'm seeing this for the first time. You see, I haven't prepared or anything, and I'm not a native speaker myself. So you please assess for yourself. You decide whether you click the button at once and start reading, or whether you spend 10 seconds looking maybe haphazardly at some words which seem most interesting to you and decide how you'll read them. I like when students decide for themselves. Everybody is unique, so you have your preferred patterns of, let's say, behavior at these tests. Okay, let's look at this one. Okay, let's click retry and read about Tesla something. Tesla's theoretical work formed the basis of modern alternating current electric power systems. Thomas Edison promised him almost $1 million in today's money to undertake motor and generator improvement. However, when Tesla, the ethical Serb, asked about the money, Edison's reportedly reply was, "Tesla, you don't understand our American humor." The pair became arch rivals. You see, this text I was reading within 28 to 27 seconds. I think here is a mistake. Yeah, Edison's reportedly reply. I think reported reply, not an adverb here, but it doesn't matter much. So this text is a bit maybe larger than the previous two. Yeah, so we should bear this in mind and be careful. About the level of difficulty, yeah? They don't divide it and they don't classify these tasks as they do in Duolingo into easy, medium, and hard. At least I don't see such a division now. So we have to decide for ourselves. Let's call this a firm medium level, because to call it a simple or easy level, I think it's not a good idea, but it's not awful either, yeah? So let's have a look at one more. Yeah, you see, this looks a bit smaller, which is very nice. So let's click retry and read it together. The core of the problem was the immense disparity between the country's productive capacity and the ability of people to consume. Great innovations in productive techniques during and after the war raised the output of industry beyond the purchasing capacity of US farmers and wage earners. Yeah, you see, I have read it within 19 or something like that seconds. all those general rules of public, like say, of reading out aloud and public speaking and everything apply, I think, to these texts. I mean that you should mind the pauses, logical, let's say, clusters and clauses and everything. So your intonation, your pitch, everything goes up and down at those necessary points. But on the other hand, how can you define the points if you are saying this for the first time? Yeah, it's a problem. And the sentences are quite long, as we see. So in this aspect, you have to reveal your linguistic ability, I think. Probably, I think later we will come to some preliminary conclusions that if you see that this text is not very big, you can take a look at it prior to reading. Yeah, if like the previous one about Tesla, it's let's say one sentence longer, then probably you should read it at once. Okay, let's try one more, and then we'll probably finish today's acquaintance with these types of texts. Okay, you see, this is a medium one, maybe probably even less. If we just cast such a glance that we see that there are no awful words, you see? No, nothing, like everything is simple, yeah? But, on the other hand, there can be a catch that they can make us, let's say, embarrassed by means of some patterns. You see, there are a lot of commas, something like that. So I mean about the intonation. Okay, let's click retry and try again. Every morning, no matter how late he had been up, my father rose at 5:30, went to his study, wrote for a couple of hours, made us all breakfast, read the paper with my mother, and then went back to work for the rest of the morning. Many years passed before I realized that he did this for a living. You know, again, 21 seconds, but as I told you, there is this enumeration, a list of homogeneous items in the sentence, and it requires proper intonation. I wasn't ready for this. I didn't expect it. There are so many segments, yeah, and so that was a problem. Though the words themselves are very, very simple. It's nothing special, nothing. But a long sentence. You see, the first sentence, you see how long it is from here to here, yeah? It's amazing. Of course, it's not so easy to do it when you see it for the first time. So you need practice, and one more time practice. You know, when I work with my students, I always try to use those resources which specialize, in those real test questions. I love this reality, this practicality. You don't need some grammar textbooks or something like this you need to see more and more and more of those real tasks. Then your mind gets acquainted with them, gets accommodated, let's say attuned to them, and when you go to the real test, you feel more comfortable. I think it sounds logic, yeah? So I love this practicality, and when we get ready, I search for those resources on the web which provide this opportunity. So I highly recommend that if you feel you need urgent, let's say, assistance, you are short of time or something, you are welcome to contact me via the link in the description of the video. You can contact me directly on my WhatsApp or Viber or something, or fill out the form on my website, and we will discuss how to get ready and so on and so on. And you know, I have a large experience of helping people pass IELTS, TOEFL, Duolingo, SAT, and other tests, and PTE as well. PTE is not so, I say again, is not so maybe broadly not accepted, but not so popular maybe. However, if you feel that you better take this beauty instead of TOEFL or IELTS, then it's a good idea, of course, to get ready. Okay, guys, I wish you success, and let's see each other in our next video.